So this is, obviously Jonathan Millner had a phenomenal year for us this year, but this opponent he's wrestling here in the SoCon finals. This was actually their third matchup of the year, and Tanner Smith from Chattanooga was. I mean, he's ranked in the top 20 in the country for the biggest portion of the year. Had a lot of top 20 wins, and so very quality opponent that John John's wrestling here, and he's already wrestled him several times, so they're very familiar with each other. But you can tell that John John's ability to get to his leg, like in that first sequence there, really has given Tanner Smith a lot of problems. It's great scoring right there on the edge. He was very savvy in keeping that toe in bounce to secure the two. I think that was really important for him in this match as well, just kind of, starting, on the right foot, getting the first score.
When you talk about his ability to get in on the leg, is that just his length or what enables him to do that so well?
Yeah, he's just so deceptive. His penetration, although it doesn't seem like he takes an enormous penetration step, his arms are so long that he still has the ability to get two hands to his opponent's leg. And it's just, something that's really deceptive for a lot of his opponents, really, I think it's just hard to prepare to wrestle someone like John because he has such different feels and, his length for a 149 pounder is there's just no one else like him. He's there getting to the leg again, which is really important. This is one where he didn't end up scoring there, but again, continuing to attack is really important here, not letting the momentum shift.
As a guy who's made some appearances in your lineup the year before, what kind of growth had you seen from him to rise to the level where he could be a conference champion as a redshirt sophomore?
Well, I mean, that's another nice takedown he got there. Hit a good re-attack there, got in deep on Tanner Smith. But, I think the biggest thing for John is he showed signs of being able to wrestle at that level. In his redshirt freshman year, he had some wins over national qualifiers and things like that. But I think if you look at him over the course of this season, his consistency and just how much more sound his fundamentals got as the season progressed, I think was probably the biggest thing that I think separated him from where he is now to where he was a year ago. He's obviously really good on his feet. You saw those two takedowns he just scored on. But then, right here, just being able to, get a takedown and then finish out the period on top. We always talk about making sure we're scoring the last points of each and every period, and that was really important there that he secured that takedown, but also, he was able to finish that period on top, with having a 3-point advantage going into the second period. And, he's just really difficult to ride as well. Even when he's got an opponent that's really good on top, he just, it's very hard to keep him down. Once he gets to his feet here, and, obviously right here, he's got to do a little better job of separating his hips. But you can see how much problems he's given Smith and just being able to return him there. And then this is, key right here. He's continually wrestling. As soon as, he gets his escape, he's right back in on the attack. And I think that relentless pace is something that is really, something that also separates him from a lot of his opponents. I mean, he can wrestle an unbelievable pace.
You mentioned the escape, him separating his hips. Can you just explain that a little bit of what you mean by that?
Well, when he got to his feet there, he was kind of bending over at the waist and fighting hands, but there was not a lot of stress on his opponent's lock. And when you separate your hips, you separate your opponent's lock, and it puts a lot of stress on the lock, and it's a lot easier to break the lock at that point and cut and face your opponent, and that's what he needed to do there. And when he finally, got a little stress on the lock, he got right away. One of the things he's doing really well right here, as you can see, he's controlling the center of the mat. He's controlling the action, and his back is always to the center, and his opponent's back is typically to the out of bounds, which means he's kind of dominating the action. And I think that's something that's really important for John to be successful, constantly attacking here and continuing to look for opportunities to score.
The third period starts with him leading 4-1. How much strategy goes into the, time and score, or is he just kind of, instructed to do what he's learned to do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, at this point where he's had 2 takedowns, he's got a little bit of riding time. We'd like to secure that riding time point, but also just by him riding his opponent here, it kind of takes the wind out of his sails. I mean, in their history, together, there's been a lot of, he's been very dominant on top. It's made it very hard for Tanner Smith to get away, and you see that mat return he did there. Just being stingy on top and, trying to keep him down and, take a lot out of him and not letting him get any momentum, and I think that was kind of obviously the key here is just making sure he's, continuing to do what he's been doing, trying to wrestle hard in all 3 positions, both, on his feet and on the mat as well. Really, he's doing a good job here keeping weight forward on Tanner Smith's hands and stretching him out here. And you can see that you can almost see a little bit of frustration in the body language of his opponent here just because he's so stingy on top. And then right there, I mean, that right there, you can see how important those mat returns are. When you pick your opponent up and return him to the mat and break him off his base, it just takes – it has a mental toll on the opponent just as much as it does a physical toll. He's just doing a really good job there of doing the extra work when his opponent gets to his feet, of making sure he's returning and staying on top of him. And so he gets away there. I don't know what the riding time is. I can't see it on the screen, but I imagine at that point he's probably got riding time secured. And see, he's still continuing to attack. That's the one thing I love is when I see him wrestle and he's got a convincing lead, but he's still continuing to attack his opponent. I think that's really important. And, that's one of the reasons why he's able to separate himself is, he's not going to ever shut down late in the match and play defense. He's going to continue looking for ways to score and, doing what he's doing to continue being successful. So that was the third matchup between these two, and it's a really quality opponent. Tanner Smith's been nationally ranked, like I mentioned before, in the top 20, and for John to beat him 3 times in a row this year, and in a convincing fashion, I think is really important. So